The illusion of progress. You grew up believing a promise. Maybe you heard it from your parents or saw it glimmering in every ad. Work hard, pay your dues, and one day you'll own something that's truly yours. A home, a car, a small patch of land, maybe even just the keys to your own future. That's what you believed. That's what millions of people around the world still believe. Because it's the oldest story in the modern world. Renting is just a phase. Ownership is the reward. But what if that story was never true? What if renting isn't just a temporary stepping stone, but the destination someone always intended for you? Imagine this. You're in your late 20s, maybe early 30s. You work harder than your parents ever did. You have 2 degrees, side hustles, and a constant urge to keep up because everything costs more and nothing ever feels secure. You're not lazy, you're not unfocused, but every time you get a raise, the cost of living swallows it whole. You rent an apartment, lease a car, pay monthly for your phone, your software, even your food deliveries. Your entire life runs on subscriptions and contracts you never fully read. And when you look at your bank balance at the end of the month, you realize something quietly terrifying. You own nothing. Not the roof over your head, not the car in your parking spot, not even the songs you listen to or the movies you watch. You're not just renting a home, you're renting your future on a loop you were never meant to escape. This is not a failure of character. This is not just how things are. This is the system by design. Somewhere along the way, the rules changed. Ownership is no longer the dream. It's a privilege reserved for fewer and fewer people each year. The rest are trapped in a cycle of endless payments managed by faceless corporations and investment funds that quietly bought up the world while you were busy paying rent. You thought renting was a ladder, but it's a loop, one you were never supposed to climb out of. This is the rent loop, a hidden truth about modern life that nobody wants to talk about, because admitting it would mean questioning everything you were taught about success, independence, and security. But what if you saw the pattern? What if you could break the loop, or at least understand why it exists? Tonight we're pulling back the curtain to reveal why you're paying forever and owning nothing, and what it would take to reclaim your future from a system designed to keep you renting for life. The end of ownership. Why real ownership is disappearing. Let's begin with a simple question. What does it mean to truly own something? Not just to use it or to have your name on a contract, but to possess it, free and clear, without a monthly payment hanging over your head, without a clause that says it can be taken away at any time. For centuries, the right to own land, a home, or even a small business was the foundation of freedom. It was more than property. It was a piece of security, a foothold in the world, a promise that no matter what storms came, you had something that could not be taken from you. But look around today. Ownership is vanishing, quietly, systematically, and everywhere. A global shift from owning to renting everything. Walk through any major city, New York, London, Tokyo, Saigon, Lagos. Ask a young adult if they expect to own a home before the age of 40. For most, the answer isn't just no, it's a kind of resigned laugh, a shrug, a look that says, that's not for people like me anymore. And it's not just homes. Cars, leasing is the norm, not the exception. Software, you don't buy, now you subscribe. Music and movies, You stream them, but you don't own a single song. Phones. You upgrade on contract, never really owning the device you hold. Land, water, even clean air. Privatized, monetized, available only for those who can afford the right subscription or the ever-increasing price tag. Why? Because renting is far more profitable for them. Let's peel back the logic. Once, you paid for something once, and it was yours forever. A one-time sale, and the company moved on. But corporations realized something. Why sell you a car, a movie, or even a house when they could rent it to you forever? Why take a single payment when they could create a stream of endless income every month from every person until the end of time? The math is simple and devastating. Sell a house once, profit, then nothing more. Rent a house to 10 families over 30 years, 10 times the profit, and the house is still theirs at the end. This logic is now baked into the economy. The dream of owning was quietly replaced by the reality of leasing. You don't own because someone else makes more money when you never own. From American dream to global reality. Remember when owning a home was the mark of making it? Now, even that symbol is slipping away. In the US, home ownership among young adults is at its lowest in decades. Across Europe and Asia, entire generations are facing lifelong renting, sometimes because no amount of saving will ever match the cost of entry. Investment funds buy entire neighborhoods, turning homes into corporate assets, never for you, always for rent. What once belonged to families now belongs to faceless entities, managed by spreadsheets, traded like stocks, valued only for the cash flow they can extract. But it's not just about houses, it's about control. This isn't an accident. Ownership means independence. If you own your house, your tools, your land, you have power over your life, your choices, your future. If you only rent, you're always at risk. A contract not renewed, a price suddenly raised, a rule changed by someone who doesn't even know your name. You become not just a tenant of a building, but a tenant of the system. And the more the world moves away from ownership, the less power you have to shape your own destiny. A silent shift hiding in plain sight. Most people still believe ownership is possible if they just work hard enough, wait long enough, sacrifice enough. But the rules have changed, the goalposts have moved, and for many, the possibility of ownership has quietly disappeared without anyone ever announcing it was gone. You're not failing to achieve the dream. The dream itself has been rewritten by those who profit from your lifetime of renting. So why is real ownership disappearing? Because someone realized you're far more valuable as a permanent renter than you are as a free owner. And until you see this shift for what it is, you'll keep chasing a future the system never intended to give you. System by design. Who engineered the rent loop? It's easy to believe that the rise of renting, leasing, and lifetime payments is just an accident of the market, a side effect of progress, a natural evolution of society. But the deeper you look, the clearer the pattern becomes. The rent loop is not a random outcome. It is a system, deliberately designed, methodically maintained, and ruthlessly optimized for endless profit and control. So who built this system? Who benefits from a world where you're always paying, always dependent, and never secure? Let's pull back the curtain. The architects, corporations, funds, and invisible power. Start with the obvious. Global corporations. real estate investment trusts, or REITs, hedge funds and private equity giants, tech conglomerates that own your digital life, and behind them all, a small circle of ultra-wealthy families and institutional investors. These entities do not simply sell products. They build infrastructure that guarantees you will always be a customer, never an owner. They buy entire blocks, entire neighborhoods, even entire cities. They transform homes into assets under management. They buy up farmland, water rights, data centers, software patents, anything that can be leased, licensed, or rented out for monthly income. In every industry, from housing to healthcare to the phone in your pocket, ownership is being squeezed out, replaced by contracts, terms of service, and fees you'll pay for as long as you want to participate in society. How laws and policies stack the deck. But corporations aren't acting alone. Governments, lawmakers, and central banks all play their part, sometimes by design, sometimes through neglect, but always with the same result. Housing policies often favor developers and landlords, not first-time buyers. Zoning laws make land artificially scarce, driving up prices and locking out would-be owners. Monetary policy, ultra-low interest rates, and easy credit fuels speculative buying by big players, while saddling the public with lifetime debt. Tax codes reward those who own to rent, while penalizing those who try to buy and build real wealth. Even well-meaning regulation often ends up cementing the power of those who already own everything, shutting out the next generation of owners before they ever get a chance. The logic: recurring revenue above all. Why design a system this way? Because recurring revenue is the holy grail of modern business. If you sell a house or a car, you make money once. If you lease it, you make money every month, forever. If you can get millions of people onto subscription models for everything, software, housing, transport, even food, your business is no longer built on customers' freedom, but on their permanent dependence. Software giants like Adobe and Microsoft no longer sell licenses, they rent you access. Automakers build cars with features that are unlocked by monthly fees. Food and grocery services offer subscriptions for priority delivery, members-only deals, even access to special ingredients. And every one of these models has a common thread. You never own, you only pay. Invisible by design. The subtlety of modern serfdom. What makes this system so insidious is its subtlety. No one says, "You're being trapped." Instead, they market convenience, flexibility, and freedom from commitment. But real freedom isn't the right to pay forever. It's the power to walk away and still have something to show for your effort. You're told it's your choice. But when every option leads back to rent, is it really? Is it freedom? Or is it simply a maze built to keep you turning in circles while someone else collects the toll in every turn? Who really owns the future? At the top, a tiny minority controls the assets, the land, the patents, and the laws. Beneath, the majority rent their lives back from the people and entities who already own everything. The rent loop is not a glitch, it is the plan. It is the invisible engine behind generational poverty, rising inequality, and the quiet anxiety that so many feel but cannot name. And the longer you stay inside the loop, the stronger it grows, because every payment you make, every contract you sign, is another link in the chain. So the next time you wonder why you can't get ahead, ask yourself, who designed this game? And what would it take to finally play by your own rules? The death of the American dream and the global dream. For generations, one idea united the world. No matter where you were born or how much you started with, you could one day become an owner. This was the American dream, but it was never just America's. It was the hope of every immigrant, every worker, every struggling family. The simple, stubborn belief that if you sacrificed and endured, you would eventually build something permanent. A house with your name on the deed, a car in your driveway, a piece of land to call your own, security, stability, something to pass on. But look around. That dream, once bright and common, is dying everywhere. And for millions, it was never even born. The fading promise. Once, owning a home was not just a symbol, it was the proof you'd made it. Neighborhoods full of young families, each one carving out their small piece of a larger story. Even in hard times, the path was clear. Get a job, work hard, save, and eventually you would own. But for today's young adults, that path is overgrown with thorns. Housing prices have soared past all rational limits. Wages have stagnated or fallen behind the cost of living. The starter home is now a luxury, not a beginning. Ask anyone under 30 if they think they'll own a home someday. You'll see the hesitation in their eyes. You'll hear the uncertainty in their voice, not because they're lazy or aimless, but because the math no longer works. The global echo. This is not just an American story. In Europe, home ownership among the young is at record lows. In Australia, average house prices now outpace most salaries by a factor of 10. In major Asian cities, buying an apartment requires generations of savings, not years. Even in once affordable countries, the cost of land is swallowed up by foreign investors and corporate funds before local families ever get a chance. The dream is slipping away, one policy, one transaction, one generation at a time. When dreams become traps. But there is a deeper betrayal here. The very dream that inspired hope has become the bait in a system that was quietly reprogrammed. You are told to believe, to strive, to wait your turn, all while the cost of entry is moved further and further out of reach. So what happens to a generation that's told ownership is possible, but is never given a real chance? They blame themselves. They work harder, hustle longer, borrow more just to stand still. They become perfect customers for the rent loop, desperate, dependent, perpetually just one step away from making it. The system needs you to keep chasing the carrot, never noticing that the stick has grown longer than your lifetime. The psychological toll of lost dreams. Losing the hope of ownership isn't just about money. It's about identity, self-worth, and the feeling of belonging. Without a stake in your own future, it's easy to feel like a guest in someone else's world. Without something to build and defend, ambition turns to anxiety. Without roots, families delay, relationships fracture, communities dissolve. This is why the American dream mattered. It was not the house, but the belief that your effort could build something lasting. Now, in a world run by rent, that belief is crumbling, and with it, so is the very foundation of hope that powered progress for a century. Is there a way back? This is not just nostalgia, it's a warning. A society that denies its people a stake in the future will eventually unravel. You cannot rent your way to real security, real freedom, or real dignity. And no amount of flexibility or mobility will ever replace the human need to own a piece of something real. If the dream is dying, the question is not, why did it fail me? But who changed the rules, and how do we take them back? How corporations are buying your neighborhood. Maybe you've seen the headlines. Hedge fund buys 5,000 homes in Dallas. Investment giant outbids families for starter homes. Entire neighborhoods turned into rental communities. But this isn't just news. It's the new normal. Behind every for sale sign in your city, there's a silent, invisible auction happening. And you're not just competing with other families anymore. You're competing with corporations, private equity firms, and investment funds armed with unlimited cash, ultra-fast algorithms, and a ruthless hunger for profit. The buyout game. How it works. A home hits the market. Within hours, sometimes before the first open house, a corporate buyer makes a cash offer above asking price with no contingencies. The seller, needing speed or certainty, accepts. The house never even enters the orbit of local buyers or young families. The same playbook repeats, street after street, block after block. Soon, entire neighborhoods are owned by companies you've never heard of. The houses become assets, bundled and traded like stocks, managed by property conglomerates thousands of miles away. Who are the new landlords? Real estate investment trusts, REITs, corporations that own tens of thousands of single-family homes, renting them out for steady, predictable cash flow. Private equity giants like Blackstone, BlackRock, Invitation Homes, powerful firms with deep pockets and no emotional attachment to your community. Institutional investors, pension funds, foreign wealth funds, and shadowy shell companies seeking safe, long-term returns. These are not neighbors. They do not live in the communities they buy. Their only goal, maximize revenue, minimize costs, and extract profit year after year, tenant after tenant. What happens when they buy everything? Rents rise. With fewer owners, there's less competition. The corporation can set the price, and you have nowhere else to go. Maintenance drops. Profit comes first. Repairs get delayed, service is outsourced, complaints disappear into phone trees and faceless call centers. Community unravels. When your neighbor is a corporation, not a family, roots don't take hold. Turnover increases. Neighborhoods lose their spirit, their stability, their soul. Generational wealth is lost. Every house owned by a corporation is a house not building wealth for a family. Every rent check is another brick in someone else's empire. Why are corporations doing this, and why now? Because they know the rules have changed. Low interest rates and government policy make it cheap for the wealthy to borrow huge sums. Rising rents make single-family homes a seat goldmine for passive income. Technology allows them to scale rapidly. An algorithm can buy a home in seconds. Market volatility elsewhere drives investors toward the safe bet of real estate, pushing prices even higher. And once they have a foothold, they never let go. Every home that becomes a rental is a home forever taken off the path to ownership. The hidden toll, a society of permanent renters. This isn't just about housing, it's about power. Who gets to own, who must rent, and who decides what your neighborhood will become. When corporations buy, families lose. When homes become portfolios, communities become commodities. When renting is the only option, the rent loop tightens its grip. The result? You're not just paying rent, you're paying to keep someone else rich forever. A new kind of feudalism. The names have changed, but the pattern is ancient. A tiny class of landlords, invisible but all-powerful, owns the land. Everyone else is a tenant, grateful for a roof, powerless to change the system. This is not a future possibility. It's happening now, quietly, in every city, on every street. If you feel like you're running in place, working harder but getting nowhere, this is why. The subscription society, paying forever, owning nothing. Look around your life for a moment. How many things do you truly own right now, free and clear? And how many things do you have access to, as long as you keep paying, month after month, year after year? chances are the balance is shifting. Not just for you, but for nearly everyone you know. From product to payment, the age of never-ending subscriptions. There was a time when you bought something and it was yours. A movie on a DVD, a song on a CD, a piece of software that came in a box with no expiry date. Now, movies, you stream them on Netflix, Disney+, Amazon Prime. Lose your subscription, lose your access. Music, Spotify, Apple Music, millions of songs, but nothing you own. Software, Microsoft, Adobe, no more licenses, only subscriptions. Food, meal kits delivered weekly on automatic payment. Transportation, Uber Pass, bike shares, car leases, mobility as a service. Even the basics are shifting. Groceries by subscription, clothing rentals delivered monthly, smartphones you upgrade on a never-ending payment plan, home security, cloud storage, even vacuum cleaners and air purifiers, all available for a fee, not a price. What's the pattern? The line between having and renting is fading, replaced by a life of perpetual payments. Why is subscription so addictive for companies and consumers? For companies, the logic is simple and irresistible. Predictable revenue, subscriptions create a steady, reliable cash flow. Locked-in customers. Once you build your life around a service, leaving becomes inconvenient, even painful. Upgrades and control. Companies can add, remove, or limit features at any time, often without your input. Data and power. Subscription platforms know your habits, your preferences, even your weaknesses. For consumers, it's sold as freedom and flexibility. No big upfront costs, cancel anytime, access to everything all the time. But there's a hidden cost. You lose ownership. You lose choice. You lose control. The psychological shift from ownership to access. We've been taught to believe that access is the new luxury. Why own a car when you can summon one in 5 minutes? Why fill a bookshelf when every story is on your phone? Why own anything at all when you can have everything for a small monthly fee? But what happens when the payment fails? Your music disappears. Your software locks you out. Your favorite shows vanish. Your digital life, built over years, can be erased with the click of a button. Ownership is a kind of safety. Subscription is a kind of dependency. The trap of convenience. Subscription promises convenience, but convenience is a double-edged sword. You never have to commit, but you never get to build. You have flexibility, but never roots. You have access, but never security. The result is a life of small, endless payments, so normal you hardly notice, until you add them up and realize your entire existence is on lease. When does it end? The answer is simple. It doesn't, by design. Subscription isn't a phase. It's a business model built to last your entire life. And the more you depend on it, the harder it becomes to break free. The hidden price of renting your life. Every subscription you add is another thread in the web. It seems harmless until you wake up and find you're paying to breathe, to eat, to move, to create, to even remember your own memories in the cloud. It's not just your money on the line. It's your independence. Financialization, when everything becomes a money machine for the few. It used to be simple. Homes were places to live. Land was for growing food or building a life. Businesses existed to serve communities and create value. But in the world of the rent loop, nothing is just what it seems anymore. Everything, homes, neighborhoods, even your data, has been transformed into a financial asset, a money machine, a line on a billionaire's spreadsheet. This is the age of financialization, where every aspect of life is re-engineered not to serve people, but to generate endless streams of profit for those who already have everything. How it works, turning life into leverage. Let's break it down. Buy a home not to live in, but to rent out. Bundle hundreds or thousands of these homes into assets. Sell shares in these assets to investors worldwide. Extract monthly payments from tenants who will never own. Reinvest the profits into buying even more homes, repeating the cycle. This isn't just real estate. It's farmland, water rights, infrastructure, even entire towns. In the digital world, it's your data, your clicks, your attention. Everything is packaged, sold, resold, and squeezed for every possible cent. The new landlords don't have faces. They are investment funds, shell corporations, algorithmic trading bots, entities that exist to extract value, not to create community. The logic behind financialization. Risk is spread out. Assets are bundled and sold in slices. If one fails, others keep the machine running. Returns are maximized. Monthly rent, service fees, subscription charges, penalty fees, multiple income streams from a single asset. Ownership is diluted. The people who live, work, and build on the land no longer have a say. Power is held far away, behind legal walls and financial abstractions. Everything is liquid. Homes, land, even debts can be traded like stocks, bought and sold in seconds, regardless of who is living there. Why is this so dangerous? Because it breaks the human bond between person and place. When your home is a yield-bearing asset on someone else's balance sheet, your rent isn't set by your neighbor, it's set by the global market. Your eviction is decided by an algorithm, not by a landlord who knows your story. Your ability to put down roots, to build wealth, to feel safe, all become fragile, subject to the shifting moods of distant investors. You are no longer a resident, you are a revenue stream. When real value is replaced by financial value, ask yourself, is your rent based on the true cost of providing shelter? Or is it based on how much can be squeezed out of you before you break? The answer, more and more, is the latter. And as this logic spreads, every aspect of life becomes up for grabs. Hospitals and schools turned into investment vehicles. Pension funds raiding basic services for short-term returns. Tech companies mining your privacy and attention for ad revenue. Public spaces fenced off, ticketed, rented for events you used to enjoy for free. When profit comes before people, society changes. Trust erodes, belonging withers. Everyone is hustling and no one feels secure. Who really wins? A tiny group at the top who own not just the assets, but the game itself. The more you pay, the richer they become. The more dependent you are, the more predictable and profitable your struggle is. Financialization is invisible, but its effects are everywhere. Broken communities, soaring costs, a sense that life is speeding up and slipping away. And the most chilling part? It's all considered progress. In a world where everything is an asset and everyone is a renter, real value, the value of home, security, and belonging, becomes the rarest currency of all. Why the young can't buy, and it's not their fault. Walk into any cafe, classroom, or city street, and you'll find a generation quietly carrying a burden they didn't create. They work longer hours, hold multiple jobs, take on more debt than any generation before them. Yet when it comes to owning a home, building wealth, or even feeling secure, they seem further behind than ever. Why can't the young buy? Why do so many live with their parents, share tiny apartments, or resign themselves to renting forever? Is it laziness? A lack of ambition? Bad choices? No. It's the system, rigged long before they were even born. The numbers don't lie. Let's talk facts. Housing prices have skyrocketed in the past 2 decades, far outpacing wage growth in nearly every country on Earth. Down payments are now often equal to a decade's worth of savings for the average young worker. Student debt, crippling in the US, rising fast worldwide, eats up any hope of saving early. Inflation devours what's left, from groceries to gas to basic bills. Job security is a memory. Full-time jobs with benefits are disappearing, replaced by gig work, short contracts, and unstable hours. Add it up, and you get a simple, brutal math. Even if you work hard, save, and do everything right, the finish line keeps moving further away. Barriers built by design. It's not an accident. Policies and practices have quietly erected barricades that make ownership nearly impossible for those starting out. Low interest rates fuel bidding wars, pushing prices up as investors buy homes in cash. Zoning laws limit new construction, keeping supply artificially low. Rental income is seen as a safer investment than young families, so houses go to landlords, not would-be owners. Tax codes reward those who already own and punish those trying to break in. And as these barriers grow, so does the pressure and the shame. The blame game, shifting guilt onto the young. When the system locks people out, it invents new narratives to cover its tracks. Millennials are lazy. Gen Z just wants avocado toast, not homes. Young people aren't willing to sacrifice like their parents. These are myths, stories told to distract from the harder truth. The rules have changed, and the game is fixed. Today's young adults face a housing market their parents could never have survived, and yet they're told the problem is personal, not structural. The emotional cost, losing hope before you begin. It's not just about money. It's about what it does to your mind, your spirit, your sense of possibility. When every path to ownership is blocked, dreams shrink. When every setback is blamed on not trying hard enough, self-worth collapses. When the only option is renting, a sense of permanence and future fades away. A generation that should be building is forced to rent and taught to feel guilty for it. What's left to build? This isn't a problem of character. It's a crisis of opportunity. Younger generations aren't weak. They're waking up to a system designed to keep them paying, not owning, working, not building, renting, not thriving. If you're young and can't buy, it's not your fault. It's the rent loop, tightening with every payment you make. But the first step to breaking out isn't to blame yourself. It's to see the truth, to reject the guilt, and to demand a system where building a future is possible again. The landlord economy. Owners profit, renters pay forever. Let's name the system for what it is. We live in a landlord economy, a world where the gap between those who own and those who rent is not just financial, it's existential. It shapes the rhythm of daily life, the texture of communities, and the prospects of entire generations. Two classes, two realities. On one side, the owners, individuals, families, corporations, and funds who control assets, real estate, land, property, even digital space. They wake up each day knowing that their wealth grows while they sleep. Every month, their bank accounts fill with rent, dividends, and passive income from things they already own. On the other side, the renters, the majority, moving from contract to contract, paycheck to paycheck. Every month, a portion of their labor is siphoned away, not to build something for themselves, but to maintain the wealth of those above. This is not a new system, but today, technology, policy, and global capital have supercharged it, making it nearly impossible for renters to cross the line and join the owners. How renting locks you out. Rent is money you never get back. A lifetime of payments leaves you with nothing. No equity, no asset, no legacy. Renters have no power. Rules change, prices rise, leases end, always at the whim of the owner. Renters build nothing permanent. There is no foundation to stand on, no security to risk, no nest egg for the future. Meanwhile, the owner's position becomes stronger with each payment. Every rent check is a brick in their empire. Wealth concentrates at the top, while everyone else runs in place. The wealth machine, how owners multiply money. Here's the math of the landlord economy. One property equals many renters over decades. Each renter pays not just for shelter, but for profit, interest, and inflation. The owner can borrow against the value, buy more assets, and expand their holdings. Even when one renter leaves, another takes their place. No pause in profit. With enough assets, the owner is shielded from economic shocks. With enough rent flowing in, their power becomes generational, passed down, never earned again from scratch. A modern feudalism. It might sound medieval, but the pattern is ancient. A few own the land. The rest work it, live on it, pay for it, but never truly possess it. Today's leases are yesterday's feudal dues. Instead of castles, we have condos and corporate landlords. Instead of knights, we have property managers and collections agencies. But the story is the same. Ownership creates security, freedom, and leverage. Renting creates dependence, anxiety, and vulnerability. The psychological toll of permanent renting. It's not just about money. Renters report higher levels of stress, anxiety, and lack of control over their lives. Moving frequently disrupts family, friendships, and community roots. The dream of someday owning turns into resignation or even shame. Owners, meanwhile, experience the opposite. Stability, influence, the ability to plan long-term. The confidence that comes from knowing that you are building something, no matter how small. Why this gap matters for everyone. A society split into permanent renters and secure owners is unstable. The gap fuels resentment, division, and lost potential. Innovation and risk-taking decline as more people live in survival mode. Social trust erodes. People become competitors for shelter, not partners in building a future. The landlord economy isn't just unfair, it's unsustainable. If most people are locked into paying forever while a shrinking elite own everything, the rent loop becomes a trap, one that consumes hope, ambition, and the very foundation of progress. The rental mindset, the psychological trap of the rent generation. A system as powerful as the rent loop doesn't just change how you live, it slowly rewires how you think. Over time, it reshapes your expectations, your sense of self-worth, your very definition of freedom. This is the silent victory of the rent loop. It doesn't just trap your money, it trains your mind to accept the trap as normal, maybe even as desirable. How the rental mindset is engineered. From your first apartment to your latest phone upgrade, you're bombarded with a simple message. Why commit when you can be flexible? Renting is freedom. Subscription means you're always up to date. Why tie yourself down to something old when you could have something new, always? At first, it feels empowering, unburdened by big commitments, free to move, free to choose. But underneath the surface, the rental mindset is quietly erasing something crucial. The idea that you can and should build for yourself. The value of ownership, not just as status, but as a foundation for your life. The seduction of short-term comfort. Renting offers a kind of instant relief. No repairs to worry about, no large upfront costs, no long-term obligations. You can leave whenever you want. But the price of this comfort is invisibly high. No roots. You become a permanent guest, not a builder. No accumulation. Every payment is a disappearing act. Nothing lasts. No security. Your stability is borrowed at the mercy of someone else's rules and profit margins. Freedom redefined as the right to leave, never the right to stay. Redefining value from ownership to experience. Corporations and marketers are masters at shifting the narrative. Don't save for a house, travel the world instead. Don't buy, subscribe, you get access to everything. Minimalism is cool, who needs stuff anyway? At first, it feels empowering, unburdened by big commitments, free to move, free to choose. But underneath the surface, the rental mindset is quietly erasing something crucial. The idea that you can and should build for yourself. The value of ownership, not just as status, but as a foundation for your life. The emotional trap, acceptance and resignation. As the years pass, the rental mindset hardens. I'll never be able to afford a home, so why even try? Renting is just what people do now. Ownership is overrated anyway. Ambition shrinks. Dreams are downsized. You adapt, not because you want to, because the alternative feels impossible. The cost to identity and hope. Belonging. Without ownership, it's hard to feel like you belong anywhere. Every address is temporary, every community fleeting. Legacy. If you can't build something lasting, what do you leave behind? Self-worth. When your labor never buys you more than another month's lease, it's easy to question your value. A generation raised on the promise of possibility is quietly settling for survival. How to break free. The power of awareness. The first step out of any trap is seeing it for what it is. Recognize the narratives you've inherited. Question the freedom that only benefits those above you. Reimagine value, not just in experiences, but in building, saving, and owning, no matter how small. You are more than a renter. You have the right to build, to create, to plant something that lasts. The rental mindset is powerful, but it's not destiny. The more you see through it, the more you reclaim your freedom, not just from rent, but from the invisible chains of a system designed to keep you drifting. Generational wealth, how inheritance is quietly disappearing. For centuries, the promise of ownership wasn't just about you. It was about what you could build, not only for your own security, but for the generations that would follow. Generational wealth, the ability to pass down a home, land, a family business, was the foundation of stability, opportunity, and upward mobility. But in the world of the rent loop, something profound is being erased. The bridge between one generation and the next is quietly crumbling, leaving only stories of what was once possible. The power of inheritance. Generational wealth changes lives. A home passed from parent to child is more than shelter. It's freedom from rent, a launch pad for dreams, a safety net in times of crisis. Land gives a family power, dignity, and the means to weather storms. Assets like businesses or investments provide a head start, a margin of safety, a legacy to build on. This was how ordinary families climbed the ladder, how dreams became reality for children and grandchildren. The erosion begins. But look at the landscape now. Rising costs, homes, land, and even small businesses are priced out of reach for most. Relentless renting. With nothing to own, there's nothing to pass on. Debt chains, student loans, medical bills, and consumer credit eat into what little savings remain. Asset stripping. As corporations and investors buy up housing, fewer families ever have a chance to gain equity in the first place. Even families that manage to make it struggle to keep hold of what they've earned. Unexpected medical expenses, job loss, and economic downturns can erase years of hard work overnight. When the ladder breaks. In past generations, each rung of the ladder, owning a home, building a business, saving a little each year, brought you closer to stability. Now, the rungs are spaced so far apart that most people never climb at all. Parents who rent can only pass on memories, not assets. Children inherit debt, not opportunity. The gap between families who own and those who rent grows wider with every year. This isn't just about money, it's about time. Decades spent paying rent are decades lost to someone else's wealth. The disappearance of legacy. Without something to hand down, the meaning of family changes. Hope shrinks. Why struggle if nothing can be secured for those you love? Ambition dims. When the rewards of hard work vanish, motivation becomes survival, not progress. Community weakens. When everyone is scrambling just to get by, there's little left to invest in neighbors, schools, or the next generation. It's not just a loss of wealth, it's a loss of continuity, a fracture in the story families tell about who they are and what they can become. The new inheritance, bills and anxiety. For many, the only things passed down now are bills, monthly subscriptions, and a growing sense of precarity. Renters become parents to renters, who become parents to renters again. The family home is replaced by a string of apartments, leases, and uncertainty. The cycle tightens, and the dream of breaking out grows dimmer. What happens to a society that can't inherit? Social mobility grinds to a halt. The rich entrench their position, while everyone else falls further behind. Generational resentment festers, as young people realize the game was rigged before they even began. Without the ability to build and pass on wealth, every generation starts from zero, while the owners of the system start from everything. Is all hope lost? Not yet. But to rebuild the bridge, we have to see how it was broken. To understand that the rent loop doesn't just steal from today, but from tomorrow. Only by seeing the full cost across lifetimes can we begin to imagine a way out. The global spread. No one is immune. You might think the rent loop is just a crisis for a few unlucky countries, an American problem, a big city issue, or a symptom of Western capitalism gone wrong. But look closer and you'll see the truth. No society is immune. No culture is untouched. No generation, anywhere, is safe from the logic of the rent loop. It started in one place, but it's everywhere now. From west to east, north to south, across continents, the story repeats with chilling precision. Europe, once known for its strong social safety nets and affordable housing, now faces sky-high rents in cities like Berlin, London, Paris, and Amsterdam. Young people live with parents into their 30s or share cramped spaces with strangers. Homeownership becomes a distant hope. Asia, megacities like Tokyo, Seoul, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Shanghai have become laboratories for permanent renting. Skyrocketing land prices, limited space, and government policies combine to make homeownership unattainable for most. Even rural areas are feeling the squeeze as investors buy up land for future profit. Australia and New Zealand, once dream destinations for affordable living, now see families priced out of the market. Whole generations are resigned to renting permanently. Africa and Latin America. As cities modernize, corporate landlords and foreign investors snap up land and apartments. Slums and informal settlements expand as the official market leaves millions with no option but to rent substandard housing for life. United States and Canada. From New York to Toronto, Los Angeles to Vancouver, the story is the same. Young people, even with good jobs, find themselves locked into renting, watching prices rise faster than they can ever save. How the model spreads. Policy imitation. Governments borrow successful strategies from each other, privatizing housing, cutting subsidies, deregulating markets, encouraging foreign investment. The result? More rentals, fewer owners, higher prices everywhere. Global investment. Money knows no borders. Pension funds in Europe buy up homes in Texas. Investors from China or the Middle East purchase entire blocks in London or Sydney. Local families compete with international capital they can never match. Technology. Digital platforms make it easy for corporations to buy, manage, and rent thousands of properties in dozens of cities at the push of a button. Culture. The normalization of renting, sold as freedom, mobility, and modernity, becomes aspirational until people forget there was ever an alternative. Case studies. Renting the essentials of life. The logic extends beyond housing. Land. African and Asian farmers lease their own ancestral lands from multinational agribusinesses. Water. In parts of India, Australia, and California, water rights are traded like stocks. Farmers rent the right to irrigate their own fields. Clean air. Cities experiment with selling carbon credits and even clean air permits as pollution and climate change worsen. Digital existence. From domain names to social media handles, what you own online is really leased from giant platforms, revocable at any time. A pattern hidden in plain sight. Wherever you look, the signs are there. More people renting, fewer people owning. Investors controlling essentials, land, water, housing, even food. Families living on short-term leases, unable to plan for the future. It's not a glitch of the system. It is the system, replicated, exported, and imposed around the world. What happens next? Social discontent grows. Protests, political upheaval, the rise of populist leaders promising to break the loop. New inequalities take root. The divide between global owners and local renters widens, fueling resentment and despair. Dreams shrink. In every language, the hope of someday owning fades to silence. No nation can wall itself off. As long as profit is prioritized over people, the rent loop will find its way in. If you feel alone, you're not. Millions worldwide are living the same reality. A life on lease, a future always just out of reach. But when enough people see the pattern, the possibility for change begins. One mind, one community, one country at a time. The social price, the cost everyone pays for the rent loop. When you talk about rent, it sounds personal, a matter of budgets, bills, and private choices. But the rent loop isn't just an economic problem. It's a social virus, quietly eroding the foundation of entire communities and countries. As more people are locked out of ownership, as the line between resident and transient blurs, the price is paid not just in money, but in trust, security, belonging, and hope. Eroding stability one lease at a time. Number 1. Community weakens. Owners invest in the places they live, planting trees, knowing neighbors, organizing local events. Renters, forced to move often or unsure how long they'll stay, rarely have the chance or incentive to put down roots. High turnover means fewer connections, less support, and a sense of impermanence that lingers in every conversation. Number 2. Families struggle to form and survive. When every year brings a new address, families delay marriage, children, and long-term planning. Couples hesitate to commit when neither can offer stability. The dream of a home for life becomes an illusion, replaced by uncertainty and anxiety. Lost trust and social capital. Trust evaporates when people come and go, never staying long enough to become friends or collaborators. Neighbors are strangers, and every building becomes just a place to sleep, not a home, not a sanctuary, not a legacy. Crime rises not because renters are bad, but because transient communities lack the social ties that keep everyone accountable. A generation in perpetual transit. Young adults put off forming households, starting businesses, or even voting, feeling that they don't really belong. The result is a population always in motion, never settled, like guests in someone else's country. Widening the gap between the haves and have-nots. Ownership becomes privilege. Children of owners inherit homes, safety, and opportunity. Children of renters inherit bills, instability, and shrinking prospects. The gap between rich and poor becomes a canyon, not just of money, but of hope, health, and possibility. The toll on mental health and well-being. Anxiety, the fear that a landlord could end your lease or raise your rent at any moment. Depression, the slow realization that you may never arrive, never feel at home, never belong. Loneliness, moving frequently means leaving friends behind over and over. From society to survival mode. When the majority must fight just to stay afloat, long-term thinking disappears. Civic engagement withers. People focus on their own problems, not the community's. Shared spaces decay. There's no us, only individuals competing for a place to live. Why this matters for everyone? The rent loop makes everyone poorer, not just in money, but in meaning. It undermines trust, the invisible glue that holds societies together. It breaks the chain of continuity that allows communities to improve, adapt, and survive crisis. It creates a landscape of users, not citizens, tenants, not stakeholders. A society that rents its future cannot build one. When no one truly owns, no one truly invests. When no one stays, nothing grows. The ultimate price, a diminished tomorrow. If the rent loop continues, expect more division, less empathy, more instability, less hope, more exhaustion, less imagination. The cost is invisible until you wake up and realize you're paying it every single day. Digital serfdom, from renting homes to renting your very existence online. You may think the rent loop only applies to things you can touch, a house, a car, a tool, a piece of land. But step back and look at your digital life, your emails, your social media, your cloud storage, your movies, your memories. You'll find that in the virtual world, the logic of renting is even more pervasive, more insidious, and far less visible. Welcome to digital serfdom, a world where you own nothing, not even your own name. The illusion of digital ownership. You buy a movie on a streaming platform, but if you cancel your subscription, it disappears. You own songs, apps, or games, but access is tied to a license, revocable at any time for any reason. Your entire photo album, your personal documents, even your business records, hosted on cloud services you pay for monthly, never stored where you control. The fine print says it all. You're not an owner, you're a user, a perpetual tenant in someone else's domain. Who holds the keys? Big tech giants, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, are the new landlords of the digital age. Your email, your files, your memories, locked behind passwords and terms of service that can be changed without your consent. Your social media accounts, built over years, filled with your words, your relationships, your identity, but instantly deletable if you break a rule or trigger an algorithm. Even your name online, your website, your domain, your brand is leased. Stop paying, someone else claims it. The subscription trap in the digital world. Want to store more photos? Pay for extra cloud storage. Want to keep your website? Pay your annual domain and hosting fees. Want to use design software, editing tools, or communication platforms? Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Every part of your creative, professional, and personal life is mediated by a gatekeeper. Miss a payment, break a rule, or simply become inconvenient, and you lose everything instantly. The psychological cost. Always on lease, never secure. Anxiety. The fear that your digital self could vanish, leaving you with nothing but memories of what you once had. Uncertainty. The knowledge that your life's work, your family photos, your friendships, all exist at the whim of unseen corporations. You are not a citizen of cyberspace. You are a tenant, paying rent to exist online. Digital landlords, real-world consequences. Small businesses lose access to their customer base if a platform changes its algorithm or terms of service. Artists and creators can be deplatformed, demonetized, or erased with no appeal. Activists and journalists find their work censored, their voices silenced, not by governments, but by private corporations that owe them nothing. In the digital world, you have less protection, fewer rights, and no true recourse. It's a new kind of feudalism with invisible lords and millions of digital peasants. What does true ownership look like now? Owning your own servers, your own data, out of reach for most people. Building communities on decentralized platforms, possible but rare, and easily drowned out by the giants. The overwhelming majority, meanwhile, accept digital serfdom as the price of participation. The new frontier, renting your attention, your identity, your future. Even your attention is leased out, sold to advertisers in microseconds, harvested for profit by algorithms. Your digital footprint is not your property, but raw material for someone else's gain. In a world where everything is on lease, even your sense of self is rented, fleeting, conditional, never truly your own. Psychological toll. The renter's mind. Anxiety, insecurity, and loss of control. For all the charts, statistics, and policy debates, the most devastating consequence of the rent loop is what it does to your mind and soul. The cost isn't just financial. It's psychological, emotional, and deeply personal. Behind every lease, every subscription, every renewal reminder, there is a silent, growing pressure, a sense that you're never quite safe, never really settled, never truly in control. The persistent anxiety of the temporary. Uncertainty is the air you breathe. Will your lease be renewed? Will your rent spike next year? Will a landlord sell or a platform shut down or an algorithm wipe you out? You learn to live with the provisional. Every plan is short-term, every promise conditional. You hesitate to decorate, to invest, to dream, because you never know when you'll have to leave it all behind. Home, but not at home. Four walls shelter you, but do they belong to you? Or are you just borrowing time until someone else decides it's over? A life without roots. No place is forever. People move not by choice, but by necessity. Rising rent, job shifts, landlord whims. Communities dissolve, friends come and go, neighbors remain strangers. Relationships fray as constant change erodes any sense of stability. Family life is fragile. How do you raise children or care for elders when the ground is always shifting? The hidden weight of powerlessness. Loss of agency. When you don't own, you don't decide. Someone else determines the rules, the price, the fate of your home or digital presence. Hypervigilance, always watching for the next threat, an eviction notice, a policy change, a lost job. Burnout, the effort to keep up, to save, to hope, only to fall behind again and again. Shame and resignation. It must be my fault. Society teaches you to blame yourself for not making it, fueling shame, isolation, and silent envy of those who seem secure. Dreams deferred. Why build when it can be taken? Why plan when the future is so uncertain? The erosion of hope and self-worth. Diminished ambitions. Maybe I don't need to own. Maybe renting is fine. It becomes easier to settle, to adapt, to shrink your expectations, not because you want to, but because hope feels too risky. The ghost of possibility. Ownership isn't just about property. It's about believing you can shape your destiny, leave a mark, or stand your ground. The deeper crisis. Lost control over life itself. Autonomy slips away. With every contract, every subscription, you exchange control for convenience until you can't remember what independence feels like. Existential unease. Beneath the busyness and bills, a quiet question lingers. If I don't own my life, what do I truly have? A society of drifters, not builders. When enough people feel this way, trust erodes, community spirit dissolves, ambition becomes survival, creativity wilts under stress. A society built on perpetual renting is a society adrift, rich in transactions, but poor in belonging, meaning, and peace. But awareness is the first step. You're not broken for feeling anxious. You're not weak for longing for more. The rent loop is designed to make you feel small, uncertain, replaceable. But the truth is, you're not alone. You can question the story. You can dream of ownership, roots, and real freedom again. And that awareness, quiet but stubborn, is where healing and change begin.
Escaping the loop. Is there a way out? After so many layers of truth, so many ways the system is stacked against you, It's tempting to surrender to despair, to believe that escape is impossible, that ownership is a relic, and that your only choice is to keep renting, keep paying, keep drifting. But the rent loop, as suffocating as it feels, is not a prison with no exits. History proves systems can be resisted, subverted, and, with time, transformed. The real question isn't, can you escape, but how? Facing reality, not false hope. First, let's be honest. There is no magic bullet. No shortcut, no viral hack, no universal policy that sets everyone free overnight. The forces at work, corporate power, financialization, global capital, are immense and embedded. But that doesn't mean you're powerless. The path out of the loop starts not with grand gestures, but with new ways of seeing, thinking, and acting, alone and together. Reclaiming agency in small but radical ways. 1. Rethink ownership. If you can't buy a home alone, could you buy with friends or family? Community land trusts, co-ops, and shared ownership models exist and grow where people unite resources, risk, and reward. 2. Embrace enough over more. The system profits from your endless hunger for upgrades and status. Learning to say enough weakens its grip. Find joy in what's truly yours, even if it's less than what's sold on screens. 3. Skill up, not just save up. Invest in skills, not just savings. The more you can build, fix, grow, or create, the less dependent you are on renting every solution. 4. Opt out when you can. Challenge the assumption that every need must be met by a subscription. Host your own website, grow your own food, build your own furniture. These are small rebellions with real impact. Find your community and build together. Isolation is the rent loop's greatest ally. Seek out others with the same questions and dreams. Start small. Neighborhood repair collectives, local business support, group buying schemes, time banks, and skill swaps. Every real community begins with 2 or 3 people who refuse to accept the status quo. Demand systemic change. Personal action matters, but it isn't enough. Vote for policies that prioritize affordable housing, rein in corporate ownership, and empower co-ops. Support leaders who understand the stakes, not just for this generation, but the next. Fight for transparency in land ownership, tax codes, and financial systems. Speak up. Tell your story. Share your struggle. Refuse to be shamed for a system you didn't break. Real stories of resistance. There are people living in tiny houses on shared land, debt-free. Communities buying back farmland from investors, 1 acre at a time. Creators building their own platforms. Artists owning their own work. Neighbors pooling money to break the landlord's monopoly. None of this is easy, or quick, or guaranteed. But every act of resistance, no matter how modest, proves that the rent loop is not destiny. The first step? Awareness. See the trap for what it is. Question the myths of flexibility and freedom when they only benefit those above. Dream again, not of luxury, but of sufficiency, roots, and real independence. You may not own a house, land, or even your own digital corner yet, but the story isn't over. The loop only tightens if you never look for the door. Even a small act of agency is a crack in the wall. Building true security. Change your mindset, change your outcome. For most of us, security has always meant something tangible. A house in your name, a steady job, a paid-off car, a fat savings account. But in the age of the rent loop, where so much is out of your control, clinging to old definitions of safety can lead only to frustration and fear. True security is not just what you own, but what you can build, rebuild, and carry within you, no matter where you go or what you have. Redefining what makes you safe. Assets can be lost, taken, or devalued. Skills, knowledge, relationships, and resilience travel with you everywhere. In a world designed to keep you dependent, the most radical act is to become less dependent. Investing in yourself, your only unstealable asset. Learn skills that matter. Repair, grow, cook, create, teach, build. Every new skill is a layer of independence the system can't take away. Emotional intelligence, the ability to manage stress, adapt to change, and find meaning even in uncertain times, is true wealth. Financial literacy, understand how money, debt, and investing really work. Even with little to spare, knowledge multiplies your options. Building social capital, your community is your safety net. Strong relationships with family, friends, neighbors, and colleagues are insurance policies more powerful than any contract. Networks of trust make survival, growth, and recovery possible when the system lets you down. Collective action. When people pool skills, resources, and knowledge, they can create what no individual can afford alone. Childcare circles, community gardens, tool libraries, local safety nets. Developing a portable life. Minimize unnecessary attachments. If you can't own, don't let rented things own you. Prioritize experiences, growth, and memory over stuff. Be adaptable. The future will be unpredictable. The more flexible your skills and mindset, the less you fear change. Plan for uncertainty. Expect curveballs, lost jobs, rising costs, sudden moves. Build buffers, emotional, financial, practical. Cultivating an internal sense of value. Refuse to tie your worth to what you possess. Society may celebrate success in terms of ownership, but your value is not up for rent or for sale. Purpose over possessions. Focus on the impact you make, the connections you build, the legacy of kindness, wisdom, or creation you leave behind. From scarcity to agency. Scarcity mindset? I'll never have enough. I'm always at risk. I'm powerless. Agency mindset. What I can control, I will. What I can't, I'll learn to navigate. I can adapt. I can rebuild. I can grow. You may not have chosen the rent loop, but you can choose how you respond to it. When enough people change, the system shifts. A society of renters is fragile. A society of builders, of skills, relationships, and resilience is unstoppable. You can't control everything, but you can choose to be more than a consumer, more than a tenant, to become a participant, a creator, a source of security for yourself and those around you. The world will keep changing. Real security comes from changing with it, from building an inner foundation no landlord can evict, no contract can void, no market can destroy. Reclaiming independence, taking back control and building true wealth. If the rent loop is designed to keep you dependent, to drain your energy, your money, and your hope, then the most radical act you can commit is to take your independence back, piece by piece, decision by decision. Independence isn't a single heroic leap. It's a series of small, stubborn choices, each one building on the last, each one taking you further from dependency and closer to genuine freedom. Financial independence more than just getting rich. You don't have to be a millionaire to reclaim control. You don't have to own a mansion, a fleet of cars, or a portfolio of investments. Real independence is about options, the ability to say no to a toxic job, a predatory landlord, or a system that doesn't serve you. the power to save, to invest, to build, no matter how humble the beginning. Practical steps to start reclaiming your power. 1. Track every dollar. Know where your money goes. Subscriptions, rent, fees, small luxuries. Awareness is the first step toward change. 2. Build emergency buffers. Start small, a few days' worth of expenses, then weeks, then months. Even a tiny cushion can turn a crisis into a challenge you can face. 3. Eliminate unnecessary leases. Audit your subscriptions. What do you actually use? What can you replace, share, or learn to do yourself? Every bill you cut is a step away from dependency. 4. Invest in ownership where you can. It might be as simple as a tool, a bike, a computer, a small plot of land. Owning a few key things gives you leverage over your work, your movement, your creativity. 5. Side hustle or skill build. Multiple streams of income mean less reliance on a single employer or landlord. Skills you own can't be taken from you, digital, practical, or social. 6. Learn about money, not just how to earn it. Understand interest, debt, investment, inflation, and how the system works. Knowledge is armor. Psychological independence, escaping the mental trap. 1. Break the narrative. Refuse to believe that renting is your only destiny, or that you are powerless to change. Seek out stories of people who built, resisted, or created new paths. 2. Redefine enough. Decide for yourself what security means. Not every desire sold to you is worth chasing. Not every upgrade is an improvement. 3. Claim your story. Your worth is not measured by your possessions or the labels others put on you. Build your own definition of success. Collective independence. Power in numbers. Join or start community initiatives, tool libraries, community gardens, co-ops, buying groups, neighborhood repair days. Support local businesses and creators. Every dollar spent locally is a dollar that circulates within your community, building mutual resilience. Advocate for change. Push for policies that challenge the rent loop, affordable housing, transparency in ownership, tax reform, and support for alternative ownership models. Independence multiplies when people move together. Every connection you build is one less dependency on the system that profits from your isolation. The long game, wealth that lasts. True wealth isn't just money, it's health, time, relationships, skills, reputation, and peace of mind. The more you invest in these, the less vulnerable you are to rent increases, layoffs, or shifting algorithms. Start small, but start. No one breaks free all at once, but every day, every choice, every act of awareness, you move a little further from the rent loop's shadow and a little closer to a life that is yours, to shape, to keep, and to pass on. Reclaiming independence is an act of defiance, a declaration that your future will not be rented, but built, lived, and owned by you. The real revolution. When the truth is revealed, what happens next? When you first see the rent loop for what it is, a machine, not a mishap, something shifts inside you. It's not just a personal awakening, it's a spark that can light up entire communities, a pattern that once exposed can never be hidden again. Because once enough people recognize the trap, the real revolution begins, not with violence or anger, but with clarity, courage, and collective action. Awareness is contagious. One person sees the system for what it is and begins to question the stories they've been sold. Two people talk, compare notes, and realize their struggles are shared. A community starts to connect the dots, realizing their hardships are symptoms of a bigger design, not personal failure. This awareness spreads online, in coffee shops, at dinner tables, in protest marches and policy forums. It transcends borders, languages, and backgrounds because the logic of the rent loop is everywhere, and so is the urge to break free. From private struggle to public movement, individual stories become collective demands. The shame of not owning, not making it, dissolves, replaced with righteous anger and urgent hope. Communities unite. Neighborhoods form land trusts. Cities pass right-to-purchase laws. Tenants organize for fair rents and better rights. New coalitions emerge. Artists, workers, parents, elders, immigrants, people once divided by class or background find common ground in the desire for security and a future to own. The ripple effect, when the system pushes back. Systems designed for profit above all else don't surrender easily. Laws may be rewritten to favor owners, not renters. Corporations may lobby harder, buy more, and deploy slicker narratives to preserve their advantage. The media may try to normalize endless renting or shame those who demand more. But when enough people know the truth, the old stories lose their power. Tipping points and change. All revolutions seem impossible until suddenly they aren't. Berliners win back thousands of apartments from corporate landlords. U.S. cities experiment with universal housing, tenant-owned co-ops, and transparency in property ownership. Technology is repurposed, peer-to-peer platforms, local currencies, and decentralized organizations that put power back in the hands of people. Even small changes, a rent strike, a viral video, or a citizen petition can be the match that sets off a wildfire of reform. Redefining success together. When truth spreads, people begin to dream differently. Success is not having the most, but belonging the most. Security is not in things, but in relationships, skills, and shared ownership. Power is no longer hoarded, but distributed. One family, one community, one movement at a time. A revolution of imagination. What if your neighborhood was owned by the people who live there? What if your work built wealth for your community, not just a distant investor? What if every child grew up believing their future couldn't be rented away? The rent loop taught us to expect less. The real revolution invites us to expect more, not just for ourselves, but for everyone. The journey ahead. Revolution is not a moment, it's a process. It demands courage, patience, and the refusal to settle for someone else's definition of enough. But history shows, when people see the system for what it is and find each other, no force on earth can keep them tenants forever. When the truth is revealed, everything changes. Not just the rules, but the possibilities. Not just the future, but the present.
Epilogue. Beyond the rent loop. The journey to reclaiming true value. You've seen behind the curtain. You know the rent loop is not just an economic system, but a psychological, generational, and social machine. One that quietly siphons not just wealth, but dreams, hope, and the sense that you truly belong somewhere. But now, with truth comes power. With power comes the possibility of change. And with every small step forward, a new chapter begins, one written by you, not for you. Letting go of old stories. It's time to release the myth that you are failing if you don't own a house, a business, a corner of land. You are not less for being a renter, a struggler, a seeker in an age of endless payments. The value of your life is not measured by deeds and contracts, but by the courage to ask for more, to question the system, to love, build, and belong even when the world tells you to keep drifting. Rediscovering what cannot be rented. You can reclaim what no landlord, no algorithm, no subscription can take. Your skills, your stories, your kindness, your vision, your integrity. Every act of care for a neighbor, a child, a stranger builds a value that outlives possessions. The friendships you foster, the communities you build, the art you create, the moments of meaning you share, these are yours to keep, to pass on, to multiply. Owning your narrative.
You can choose the story you tell yourself, not of loss and limitation, but of resilience and resourcefulness. You are not a victim of the rent loop. You are a witness, a challenger, a builder of something new. This is not about escaping responsibility, but about embracing the deepest form of ownership. Ownership of your purpose, your actions, your impact on the world. The call to action. Write a different ending. If enough of us demand a different world, if enough of us dare to dream of security, dignity, and belonging for everyone, the system will have to change. Start small. Question the next payment, the next contract, the next upgrade you're offered. Seek out others who share your questions and hopes. Build communities where people help each other, not just compete. Support leaders, policies, and projects that prioritize people over perpetual profit. Your life, your value, your legacy. In the end, you are more than your status, your balance sheet, or your monthly rent. You are the beginning of a new story, one where freedom isn't bought, but built, where security is not rented, but rooted in shared purpose, mutual aid, and courage. Beyond the rent loop, there is a life of meaning, connection, and value that no one can take away, if you choose to claim it. Let this be your invitation to see, to question, to build, to belong. You are not meant to be a tenant of your own future. It's time to start living as the true owner of your life.